Good morning and welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. August 10th, 2026.
Quick check of the weather here in Parker. 65 degrees Fahrenheit and clear skies right now, heading up to a high of 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Low tonight, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, we're looking at a massive immigration court backlog created by a surge in ICE detentions. A major geopolitical shift that sent Bitcoin soaring past $65,000, and OpenAI pausing safety tests on its next major model.
Lots to unpack today. Let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news. Politico is reporting that a dramatic expansion in ICE detention operations has completely overwhelmed federal immigration courts. They are calling it an unprecedented volume of pending legal cases.
And when you hear officials saying we've never seen anything like this, you know the system is at a breaking point. What is this surge actually doing to the court process?
It is creating severe procedural backlogs, which means massive delays for basic administrative hearings. Cases that used to move through the system are now sitting in limbo for long periods.
That is a huge practical problem. Beyond just the logistics, what does this mean for the individuals waiting in these detention facilities?
Well, that is the core issue legal experts are raising. These delays challenge civil rights compliance standards. When people are held in detention without timely access to administrative hearings, it compromises their basic procedural rights.
Right, because detention is supposed to be paired with due process, not indefinite waiting because the court system can't process the volume.
Exactly. And speaking of civil rights and detention conditions, there's another alarming story involving ICE custody today.
Yes, a report from The Guardian detailing allegations from a Kurdish filmmaker. This account includes claims of physical abuse and forced nasal feeding while held in federal custody.
The specific detail in the quote is harrowing. The filmmaker said, "Shoved the tube so hard it tore my nose." It brings immediate focus to medical ethics inside these facilities.
That is horrifying. Forced feeding with that level of physical force goes straight to the heart of basic human rights standards within federal detention.
It really does. It raises serious concerns regarding the medical ethics and human rights practices within federal immigration detention facilities nationwide.
When you combine systemic court backlogs with severe allegations of physical abuse and medical malpractice, it puts federal immigration enforcement under intense scrutiny.
Coming up, we turn to global news with major strikes on energy infrastructure in Russia and Saudi Arabia, plus a potential diplomatic breakthrough in the Middle East.
Let's move to international developments. The Financial Times reports that a Ukrainian drone strike targeted an oil refining city in central Russia, killing 13 people.
This strike marks a significant escalation in Ukraine's ongoing efforts to disrupt Russian energy infrastructure and military supply chains.
13 deaths in a central Russian city shows just how far-reaching these drone operations have become. It targets both the economic engine and the logistical lines supporting the war.
Exactly. Ukraine has been systematically targeting energy infrastructure, and hitting a central refining hub directly impacts fuel production for military use.
Meanwhile, energy security concerns are flaring up in the Middle East as well. NBC News reports that Yemeni Houthi forces launched an attack targeting Saudi Aramco's oil refinery in Jazan.
That immediately raised security alarms for Middle Eastern energy infrastructure and sent ripples through global oil markets.
It seems energy facilities are becoming the primary targets in multiple regional conflicts right now. Jazan is a key site for Saudi Aramco.
It is, and any strike on a facility of that scale causes instant anxiety for international energy supply lines.
Interestingly, despite those attacks, we saw a major rally in risk assets today tied to diplomatic news in the region. CoinDesk reported that Bitcoin recovered above $65,000.
That rally came as talk of a potential diplomatic agreement between Iran and Oman to reopen the Strait of Hormuz began easing market concerns.
So potential diplomatic progress around the Strait of Hormuz outweighed the immediate threat from the refinery strike in the eyes of investors?
It did. The Strait of Hormuz is such a critical bottleneck for global trade that any talk of stabilizing it lowers overall market risk. It demonstrates how geopolitical developments directly impact global cryptocurrency liquidity.
Finally, in global news, The Washington Post reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected a proposed peace framework for Gaza.
That plan was backed by the United States and President Trump, and it called for Hamas disarmament alongside a complete Israeli troop withdrawal.
Netanyahu rejecting a framework that had backing from Washington shows just how deep the policy divide remains on ending the conflict.
It really complicates international diplomatic efforts to secure a long-term ceasefire and negotiate a hostage agreement.
Without agreement on core issues like troop withdrawal and disarmament, reaching a final deal remains extremely difficult.
When we come back, we will take a quick look at key updates from India and Tamil Nadu, including a landmark legal shift for digital banking.
Moving to India, NDTV reports that the Rajya Sabha has passed legislative measures officially recognizing electronic and digital banking records as admissible evidence in legal proceedings.
This is a major structural update. It modernizes judicial evidence rules for financial sector disputes, making digital transaction histories legally binding in court.
That seems long overdue given how much of the economy runs on digital payments now. Also from NDTV, a fascinating case out of Delhi, where police uncovered a multi-state cyber fraud ring starting from a single stolen mobile phone.
It is a remarkable investigation. Tracking that one stolen phone led authorities to an entire interstate cybercrime network, showing how localized street theft feeds into much larger financial fraud operations.
It shows how connected these criminal pipelines are. And finally, in medical news from NDTV, surgeons in Ghaziabad successfully reattached the completely severed hand of an 18-year-old patient during a complex 7-hour operation.
Reattaching a completely amputated limb in a 7-hour procedure highlights the incredible advanced surgical capabilities coming out of the region's medical centers.
That is an incredible outcome for that young patient. Coming up, we will talk markets, including MasterCard's massive $1.8 billion acquisition in the stablecoin space and a huge sales spike for TSMC.
Let me open the finance segment with a big security warning for Web3 developers. The Hacker News reports that security researchers found malicious Visual Studio Code extensions masquerading as Solidity Pro.
What are these malicious extensions actually doing once installed?
They're designed to steal crypto wallets, API keys, and developer credentials. They are targeting Web3 engineers right in their coding environment through official developer extension marketplaces.
That is a critical vector. If developers lose their API keys and wallets, whole projects get compromised before they even launch. Now, on the institutional deal side, CoinDesk reports that MasterCard has finalized its acquisition of stablecoin infrastructure provider BVNK for $1.8 billion.
That is a massive valuation. And what makes it even more interesting is that MasterCard won this after a competitive bidding process that involved Visa and Coinbase.
Wow, Visa and Coinbase were both bidding for BVNK too? That shows just how aggressive traditional finance and native crypto firms are in competing for digital payments infrastructure.
It really underlines the growing institutional appetite for stablecoins. In semiconductor news, TSMC reported a massive 45% surge in July sales, reaching 467.58 billion new Taiwan dollars.
A 45% surge in a single month is incredible. What is driving that kind of growth?
Sustained demand for AI hardware from key clients like NVIDIA and Apple. It proves that global semiconductor demand for AI workloads is showing no signs of slowing down.
That is huge for the hardware supply chain. On the crypto investment front, U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs saw $853.54 million in net weekly inflows.
That marks the highest volume of capital allocation into spot Bitcoin ETFs since mid-April. And BlackRock's IBIT fund captured the vast majority of those new funds.
Wall Street is clearly pouring money back in. Though it hasn't been smooth sailing everywhere in crypto. Exchange CoinsBuy suffered an $8 million exploit today.
Yeah, CoinsBuy was hit in a coordinated attack spanning across both the Tron and Ethereum blockchains in under an hour. It emphasizes the persistent security vulnerabilities around cross-chain liquidity management.
To wrap up markets, CoinDesk notes a rare shift on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Leveraged hedge funds have abandoned their structural short positions and moved to a net long position on Bitcoin futures.
That is a big deal. For years, hedge funds kept structural shorts on CME Bitcoin futures to run basis trades. But weakening futures yields diminished the profitability of those trades, driving them to bet directly on a Bitcoin rally instead.
Coming up on the tech side, OpenAI pauses safety testing on its newest model after it shows alarming offensive cyber skills.
On the tech side, we have a striking development from OpenAI. The Hacker News reports that OpenAI temporarily paused select internal safety tests for its upcoming Astra model.
Why did they pause the safety tests? Did Astra trigger an internal danger threshold?
It did. Model Astra demonstrated advanced offensive cyber capabilities and autonomous coding skills strong enough to trigger a formal safety pause under their evaluation protocols.
That is a serious milestone. When an AI agent shows autonomous coding and offensive cyber skills at that level, it proves safety concerns around agentic models are no longer theoretical.
Exactly. The fear is agentic models gaining hazardous capabilities before safety frameworks are ready.
While OpenAI hits pause, Meta is moving full speed ahead with open source. Meta just released Muse Glimmer, an open-source, local, agentic multimodal model.
What sets Muse Glimmer apart is its day zero integration across major AI frameworks, meaning developers can immediately download, run, and benchmark it locally.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg reaffirmed his commitment to open-weight AI development with this launch. Meta is positioning its open models in direct competition with closed-source leaders like OpenAI.
It is a totally different strategic path. Meanwhile, Anthropic is also leaning hard into agentic autonomy. They just made auto mode the default setting within their Claude Code development platform.
Making auto mode default gives the Claude Code agent greater autonomy to execute complex tasks without waiting for continuous user prompts.
It shifts the developer experience from constantly approving every line to letting the AI act as an autonomous coding partner.
In deep space news, NASA is managing the fading power reserves on humanity's most distant interstellar probes. Space Daily reports that Voyager 1 is down to just 2 working science instruments.
NASA is now testing a power management software patch on Voyager 1. It is the same fix that successfully bought its twin, Voyager 2, another year of operational power.
Is the patch working the same way on Voyager 1?
Well, NASA says Voyager 1 no longer behaves quite like its sibling, so testing is delicate. But maintaining telemetry and science data from interstellar space depends on these power tweaks.
It is amazing those probes are still communicating at all. Speaking of space tech, Astrolite and Atmos Space Cargo are partnering to attempt a major space communications first.
They are aiming to execute the first in-flight laser communication link between a satellite and a space re-entry vehicle. Successful testing could drastically improve real-time data transmission during orbital return missions.
That would solve a huge blackout problem during atmospheric re-entry. And finally, in health tech, the European Space Agency has commissioned startup Silodon to develop diagnostic eye scanning technology for astronauts.
They're trying to prevent spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome, which causes vision loss during long space missions. Protecting astronaut eyesight is critical as agencies plan long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars.
When we come back, entertainment and sports, including a major 30-film deal offered to movie theaters and honoring an NBA legend.
Turning to sports and culture. In entertainment news, David Ellison has offered movie theater operators a contractual guarantee for an annual 30-film theatrical slate under a combined Paramount-Warner Brothers plan.
A contractual guarantee for 30 films a year is a massive promise to theater owners. Why is Ellison making that commitment now?
It is designed to assure exhibitors of steady release volume amid major industry consolidation. Theater owners have been worried about fewer movies being released as studios merge.
That gives movie theaters some much-needed predictability. Moving to sports, we are mourning the passing of an absolute legend in professional basketball. Hall of Famer Don Nelson has died at age 86.
Don Nelson had an incredible career. He won 5 NBA championships as a player with the Boston Celtics and went on to become the second winningest coach in NBA history.
He was one of the most influential offensive innovators the game has ever seen. His style changed how basketball is played at the highest level.
He truly shaped the modern game. In women's cycling, Dutch rider Demi Vollering has won the Tour de France Femmes for the second time.
Vollering secured the title following a dominant performance in the final stages of the race.
She has firmly cemented her position as one of the premier riders in modern professional cycling. It was an incredible performance.
And over in motorsports, Ty Gibbs held off Christopher Bell to take the victory at Iowa Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series.
That win at Iowa Speedway vaulted Ty Gibbs all the way to second place in the overall NASCAR Cup Series standings. Holding off Bell under that pressure was a huge drive for him.
It really sets up an exciting stretch for the points race.
From geopolitical diplomacy, shifting global markets, to rapid advances and safety pauses in artificial intelligence, today shows how fast technology and global politics are moving together.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.